Welcome back to Free Speech Nation. A video released this week by ADF International has attracted over 34 million views and even attracted comment from Elon Musk. It concerned a pair of Swiss parents who have had their child taken away from them by the authorities because they objected to her gender transition and would not give her puberty blockers. Let's take a look.
Swiss authorities have taken our child, our daughter, who's 16 years old. We, as parents, are facing an alliance between the school, the Swiss Child Protection Agency, the Swiss hospital in Geneva, and we feel powerless.
ADF International are supporting the parents' legal case, and their communications officer, Paul Sapper, joins me now. Paul, welcome to the show. I mean, I think that's pretty chilling stuff. It sounds very much like the state has kidnapped their child.
I think you could definitely say that the state, the daughter has been separated from her parents by the state, by court order. What we saw is that for over a year, the daughter has been separated from the parents, and that's because really they just objected to her gender transition. So we could sort of take a step back and say, how did this unfold? Because when people hear that, they think there must be more to the story. Yes. It can't quite be as simple as that. What we had is during COVID, we had a daughter in Geneva, and she was sort of suffering other mental health issues. She was 13 years old at the time, spending a lot of time alone in her room on social media, as unfortunately a lot of children were doing at that time. And she told her parents at that time that she felt that she was the opposite sex. Her parents then sort of did not want to go down the route of gender affirmative care, of social transition. They told the school that. The school reacted by sort of getting in touch with the Child Welfare Protection Agency and a trans activist NGO. And they sort of worked together, accused the parents of abuse for going down the path of seeking sort of therapeutic care for the daughter that didn't gender affirm her. And eventually this sort of situation spiraled. They ended up socially transitioning the daughter against the parents' explicit wishes. And it's conspired to the point that a court eventually said that the daughter had to be placed in a government shelter, separated from the parents. The parents' access to the daughter is now regulated by the state. A really, really tragic situation. ADF International supported the parents in challenging a court order that said they had to hand over documents which are necessary for the daughter's legal sex change. That means changing her sex from female, as she is a female, to male.
And are puberty blockers involved in this?
Not at this point. We're unsure whether she is on puberty blockers. The parents made it explicitly clear that they did not want her to be on puberty blockers. Medical authority has been transferred from the parents to the Child Welfare Protection Agency, so they don't have full sort of authority over decisions.
So the agency could make these decisions on behalf of the parents?
That's right. So this case wasn't looking at that issue, but the problem is that parents, it should not be the case that children can go down this route of gender affirmative care against the parents' wishes. It's absolutely abhorrent. Parental rights must be guaranteed and safeguarded, and in this case, we have seen them violated.
Well, let's talk a bit about the Cass Review. I mean, the Cass Review, 4 years of rigorous study, which has come out and said there's no evidential basis for gender affirmative care. Also said that there is a danger with schools socially transitioning kids, that is to say, using the preferred names and pronouns that the child wants, because it has the effect of locking in that identity and actually increasing the risk that they will go on to dangerous drugs and irreversible surgery. So when they throw around this term of abuse, are they not the ones guilty of abuse?
I think that's absolutely right. And what we saw is another thing, time and time again, we see lies peddled, quite frankly. Another thing the parents were told is that if they didn't go down this route, there would be an increased risk of suicide of the daughter. The Cass Review also showed that is not true. There is no evidential basis for that. And so, the parents, just for wanting to sort of look out for their daughter's interests, have been punished for this. And if you look at the quotes of the father, which can be found easily online and in this video which we looked at, it is heartbreaking. They said, we cannot believe it is the case that we can be punished and have our daughter taken away from us just for trying to look after her best interests.
Now, what is surely the Cass Review was pretty clear about all of this. Now, obviously, this is Switzerland, this is not the UK. But why is the Cass Review not having this effect globally? Why are so many people resisting it?
Well, yeah, we have seen that it has had this global impact in terms of people have seen a lot of the claims peddled by trans activists completely discredited. They do not have an evidential basis. I think in many ways, the UK is leading the world in banning puberty blockers. And we saw that High Court ruling this week, which deemed that ban was completely lawful. We see cross-party agreement. It was introduced by the Conservatives. Wes Streeting welcomes the ruling, which is a great thing to see agreement on the very fundamental fact that puberty blockers should not be given to children. Unfortunately, other parts of the world aren't there yet. In California, we saw another case, which is why Elon Musk, we mentioned, he took an interest in this case. And I think it could be because it bears similarities to something that he has experienced with his own son, where he said he was tricked into signing documents to send him down the route of gender affirmative care, which he deeply regrets. And we've seen that law passed in California, which sort of embraces trans ideology. Teachers, schools, teachers cannot be informing parents about if a child is identifying as the opposite sex. And that is a very dangerous thing, because social transitioning is not a neutral act. That's what the Cass Review said.
Yeah.
And so it's the first step. And the younger that it's done, the Cass Review also said, the more likely the child is to go down the route of medical interventions which are irreversible and cause harm.
Do you think that this case that ADF International is involved with now will change the perception in Switzerland? I mean, like, for instance, the issue you mentioned of suicide, we now know for a fact that it's not true that there's a risk, that there's a higher risk of suicide if you don't affirm children's gender identity. That's not. We know it's not true. It has been debunked. Will it take court cases of this kind to hammer this message home to the various medical and governmental authorities?
ADF International is committed to supporting those sorts of cases that you're talking about, bringing the force of the law to say this is not right. In this case, we will be supporting the parents and seeking to appeal this order that is for them to hand over a court documents for the daughter's legal sex to be changed, and that's under the threat of criminal charges. So if they aren't assisting in their daughter's legal sex change, they are under the threat of criminal charges. ADF is supporting that, and we are committed to supporting cases to prevent the spread of trans ideology, which harms children. And hopefully a case like this shedding a light on it and the real life harm it causes. It's not sort of an abstract culture war issue. It causes harm to the daughter. It causes a heartbreak to these parents. And we are committed to stopping that, because it's, to have a flourishing society, we need to have parents making these interests which are in the best interests of their children.
Paul Sapper, thank you ever so much for joining me. Really appreciate it. So there's plenty more to come. Still on Free Speech Nation this evening, we're going to delve into the Olympic boxing controversy. We're going to ask if telling jokes in private could now land you in prison. Please, don't go anywhere.